Namaste everyone, welcome back to the Kundalini Yogini. This is Prasiddha, and thank you so much for joining me this morning, Sunday morning here in the US, Los Angeles, and probably different times wherever you're tuning in from. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys all about food and nutrition as per Ayurveda, the Ayurvedic framework of how we see food. And the title of this video might be triggering for some people interested in health and nutrition, right? There is no such thing as healthy food. And I'm going to explain to you why that is and what the understanding is in the ancient healing modality of Ayurveda. So if you're not familiar yet with Ayurveda, it is the science of life. It is an over 6,000-year-old healing science from India, originating in India, as part of the Vedic cultures and the ancient Sanskrit scriptures, which were channeled and brought down by enlightened beings in meditation and given as this divine knowledge of how to heal the human body, mind, and spirit. So Ayurveda does not classify there being such a concept as a healthy food. And I find this really fascinating. And the more that I came to learn about it, the more it clicked with me and gave me a deeper understanding of how food works for us and as human beings. And so I wanted to share that with you guys today. The reason why we consider there not being a concept of one food, a particular food being healthy or unhealthy, is because we don't see any substance in the world. No material thing is considered good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. It is seen as per its qualities, or gunas, as the Sanskrit word is. It's seen as for its qualities. And so what we look at when we see a food is what are the qualities that food has, and in comparison to other substances, right? So for example, if we look at a cookie, a cookie is going to be really dry because it's been baked in an oven. It's going to be crunchy. It's going to be maybe a little moderately heavy, and it's going to have sweet taste. Whereas we compare to maybe a piece of broccoli, broccoli is going to be kind of bitter, a little bit sweet and salty. It's going to be maybe a little astringent. It's going to be crunchy, light, and maybe a little softer than that cookie. And it's going to have moisture because it's a vegetable, depending on how it's cooked. So like this, we look at each food item. And based on those qualities of the food, the taste, the texture, the color, the qualities of its essence, we see what effect that food will have on a human body. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the reason why we can't just say that broccoli is a healthy food and a cookie is an unhealthy food is because it depends on who is eating it. And this is where a lot of dots connected for me, because as somebody who's been interested in health for many years, health and spirituality, and I'm sure a lot of you guys listening have also been on your own journey of improving your health. And the biggest thing I see is stopping people from taking steps toward a healthier lifestyle or healthier diet is that they're confused. There's so many mixed messages happening all the time. You're on one end, you're hearing about paleo diet. One end, you're hearing that paleo is horrible. You're hearing about keto diet. You're hearing that keto is horrible. You're hearing that raw vegan is the healthiest. And then you're hearing people say that raw vegan made them sick. You're hearing about vegetarian, vegan, all these different things, or purely carnivore. Everybody has these differing opinions, and they're all health professionals. And so what do we take away from that? How can we differentiate? Well, Ayurveda gives us the tools to be able to understand from a depth level each food item, and then make an informed decision about how that's going to affect our body and the things that we want to put into our body. So I'll give you guys an example. If somebody is the body type, the constitution we call VATA dosha, and if you're still unfamiliar with the doshas, definitely check out my video introduction to the doshas that I made a few months ago. It's on my channel. But if you're a VATA dosha, which is a dosha which tends to already be cold and dry and light and a little very mobile and moving, if you eat foods that are those same qualities, your dosha will continue to be imbalanced. It's basically the law of similars and dissimilars. Samanya and Vishesha are the kind of the Sanskrit terminology. When we have likes, they increase likes, and dissimilars decrease each other. So if you're Vata and you're cold and light and dry and moving type of person, and you eat something like popcorn, popcorn has every single one of those qualities. It's really light, it's really dry, it's really airy. And so when you're consuming that, it's going to imbalance your Vata much easier than a person who might be a Kapha, who is really maybe more heavy set, more stable, more grounded, a little heavier and oilier type of person. That might not have such a negative effect. That popcorn might be something that a Kapha could eat and not get affected. But for a Vata person, that popcorn is going to imbalance them. And so like this, we look at every single food item, and we can make a wise decision by knowing our own body. What's the effect that food is going to have on our body and our mind, which is affected in the same way. So take meat, for example. When we look at meat or dairy, we want to look at it by its quality. This isn't, a moral argument coming from the standpoint of I'm better than you because I don't eat meat, or this is the highest path. No, that's not where these enlightened beings, these sages, were coming from. But what they did demonstrate is when you understand the qualities of that substance. For example, meat is very heavy. It's very hard to digest. It can be bulk promoting. Obviously, it can help put bulk on a person's body. It can be like an oily and warming food as well. And so there might have been a time or a place or a person that needed those qualities. For example, one example I thought was really interesting was looking at warriors. If you're fighting in a war for, years, even months, and you have to kill other human beings, continuously be using your physical body day in and day out, fighting brutally, meat might be something that you actually wanted to consume because it gave you long-term sustenance, and it gave you that same type of animalistic, violent nature, because the meat had that same quality because of where it came from, because it came from an animal. And so at that time, not that it was right or wrong, but that was something you were engaging in. And so meat might have actually made sense. But when we look at it in the same way, those same qualities, if you're a person who is not having to fight in wars, does not want to be fighting in battles, even emotional or mental battles in their day-to-day relationships, that doesn't want to be in a heavier frequency, that doesn't want to be physically gaining weight and toxins in the body, and isn't, using their body 20 hours out of the 24, meat might not be the right choice for you, because those are the qualities the meat has. It's not to say that meat is unhealthy. It's to say, look at, these are the qualities of meat. Do I want those in my life? And this applies to dairy, this applies to fruits and vegetables, grains, legumes, every single category of food. It's something we need to really look at and understand where our food is coming from. What are the qualities of the food? And it's not like rocket science. You can definitely learn it pretty quickly. Just through the observation of your senses, you can see a lot of the qualities a food item has. You can see the effect, and you can make an educated guess on the qualities that food item might have. Even leafy greens are an interesting example, because a lot of times we think, oh, leafy greens are healthy, period. Everybody thinks salads are healthy. But again, for a certain body type, that actually might be a very aggravating food. Having a dry leafy green is really airy, light, crunchy. And so when you're a person, again, like for example, your Vata dosha, and you're intaking that food, it's going to really upset your digestion. So you have to look and understand your body and understand the substances in the same way. And one last example I'll give is for PITTA, since I haven't really talked about PITTA, and I think some of you guys might be interested in that, which is kind of considered like the fire type, the fire body type, very warm, heated, already naturally more aggressive type of a person, really sharp intellect. If you're eating spicy food, that's going to imbalance you, because again, the spice has the same quality that you already have internally, that fire. And so you eating a spicy food is going to maybe have a more of a negative effect than somebody like a kapha, who is very cold already, really emotionally calm. And so spice might actually be beneficial for a kapha's body for shedding weight, for shedding excess toxins. And so I hope that these kind of give you an insight into how we can look at food and its effect on our body. And I definitely urge you guys to do your own research and see what your body type might be, what you identify with, what your dosha is, and then see what foods can benefit you in the highest way. Look at the quality of the food. And before I answer your questions, which I'll do in just a few minutes, the last thing I wanted to share with you guys is there is kind of a little hack into how you can navigate this world, because it might be still a little overwhelming for you to think, oh God, now even healthy foods I thought were healthy are not healthy anymore. Don't worry, because there's still foods which are, again, we don't label them necessarily maybe as, indefinitely healthy, but they're actually called Saatvik foods. And Saatvik foods are considered to be pure foods, high in prana or life force energy and very balanced in nature, which means that any body type, any age, any person can eat these foods, and it will bring the most balance of body, mind, and spirit to that person. It will raise them into a higher consciousness because it won't be imbalancing them in any direction. Saatvik diet is what yogis follow. It's a huge part of the yogic path and lifestyle. It's something which I've been living and learning about for the last 4 or 5 years, especially when I was living in India. All we had was Saatvik food. And what this means is it's usually foods which are very nourishing, not heavily spiced in any direction, not heavily salted, not heavily sweet. Everything is in moderation. The tastes are balanced throughout the palate. You have nourishing foods like basmati rice or mung beans, sometimes even honey or ghee. Lots of fruits and vegetables fall in this category as long as they're cooked and steamed, so they're a little warmer. That kind of takes away that imbalance that they naturally have. And if you want to learn more about the Saatvik diet, you can watch, we have a long podcast, but it's one of my favorite podcasts we did, me and my husband, on our joint YouTube channel, The Anandas. It's linked in my profile as well if you need to find it. And we have a podcast all about the Saatvik diet. And so if you're interested in that more, you can definitely find out there more details. And I hope that it's helpful for you. So without further ado, I will go into some questions and we will see what you guys are dealing with today. All right, I'm just scrolling back, so give me a minute, guys. All right, hello to everyone. Hi, Carbonado, Carlos, Parm, Deborah, Yogi. Oh, Richard. Hi, Richard. Great to see you guys. Okay, Lucas, hi. Little Coco was saying, I'm trying to go vegan, but I'm hungry all the time. Yeah, I mean, this could, again, we want to be looking at what foods have you been focusing on. I'd be interested if you even want to send a message and take a few minutes. I can kind of use you as a good example that might help everybody here. So go ahead and let me know, what are the main meals you've been eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we can take a look at that. No problem, Lucas. Watch it whenever suits you. Kyle was saying, eat sweet potatoes, avocados, olives, the oils of both, as well as coconut, and there are tons of vegan foods, and you can make vegan versions of anything, even meat and cheese. Yes, absolutely. Those are good examples. Again, we want to be looking at what the quality of those foods are, because if you really, really want to fine-tune your health, even fruits, vegetables, grains can be better or worse for your body type. And so it gets really interesting. But of course, don't overwhelm yourself. Step by step, we just work to improve our diet as we go forward. So somebody else was saying you need pulses like lentils or beans. They're warming and satisfying without weighing you down. Yeah, I agree. In Ayurveda, we definitely look at lentils as kind of the highest choice in that category. Beans can be really agitating, actually, to a lot of people's digestive system. The larger the bean, the harder they can be to digest. So black beans, kidney beans are considered to be more aggravating to certain doshas, but lentils, like small lentils, split lentils, really good and usually won't throw anybody's body off. Luca and Nityanandam from Los Angeles, thank you for touching base here. And Brittany was asking, good question, does your primary dosha or body type ever change? And where do you study Ayurveda? Yes, it can. Take that with a little asterisk. It's very unlikely. The whole concept of your prakriti, your constitution, is that it's existed since birth. It's like a timeline of your whole life and the tendencies you have towards certain body characteristics and personality characteristics. That being said, there is something which I was curious about in the same regard, and I backed it up by research. And it is true. There's only one way you can change your constitution or your dosha, and that is through spiritual practice. It's considered to be the only way you can kind of transcend your imbalances, and you could permanently alter your dosha theoretically. And it's interesting because you can still have your constitution, your dosha. For example, mine is VATA PITTA, but it doesn't mean I'm functioning like an imbalanced VATA PITTA. So it's something we should understand, that even though you might be a KAPHA or a PITTA, don't feel like, oh, that's a bad thing, because it comes with all these imbalances. In a balanced, every dosha has its balanced state. And so I can still be that as my constitution, but not be having any imbalances, which would give me the negative characteristics of a Vata Pitta person, like anxiety, shakiness, nervousness, inability to sit and meditate, all these things. Yes, that might have been my predisposition since I was a kid, but doesn't mean I have that experience now. I hope that kind of gives a little clarity. And as per my school, I study at Southern California University of Health Sciences. It is in Southern California in the US. And I'm about to graduate actually this April, the first year program. So it's been amazing. I highly recommend it. I love the program, and our professors are amazing. Okay. Prabhu was asking, still with Nityananda? Yes, he's my guru. Nothing changes that. Jeremy, Nityananda, Vaibhav was asking, I have one question. I suffer from sinus and have acute cough related to troubles since childhood. Does this mean I have kapha imbalance? There's a lot of factors to look at, of course, but off the top of my head, I would say yes, that does look like a kapha imbalance. Usually mucus, sinus-related issues, cough-related issues, all directly relate to kapha. There could still be a mix of other doshas that are in balance that we would want to look at, of course, before giving you treatment or herbs. But yeah, it does look like that for sure. Lentils and beans make you zombified. I'm not sure about that. I'm sure it depends what type you're eating, because anytime I have lentils, I feel really good. But again, it depends on you, I guess. So Satendra was asking, sharp mind, food and herbs. Do you mean like what type of food gives you a sharp mind? If so, then yeah, that would be the Saatvik diet for sure, because any food which is highly rajasic or tamasic will have a negative impact on the mind. It will either make you hyperactive, or it'll make you slow and lethargic. So you want to have that balanced Saatvik diet. Bhuvana, good questions. She was asking, is part of Ayurveda using the color of the food to do certain things, like eating greens to open heart chakra? That's a great question. Really interesting topic too. Yes, color definitely plays a part. We can usually relate. It's really interesting. There's this concept. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. It's called the doctrine of signatures. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about that, but it basically means that when a natural food is shaped like the body part that it actually heals. And there's a lot of these weird kind of microcosm, macrocosm parallels in the natural kingdom. And if you look at certain fruits and vegetables or plants, they'll actually be this similar shape as the thing which they actually help in the human body, the organ that they connect to. So we really look at that in Ayurveda. That is like definitely understood in Ayurveda. And colors do play some parts related to energy in the chakras as well. Okay. Yeah. Max was asking, what is Haritaki good for? Haritaki is good for so many things. Actually, funny enough, in the Charaka Samhita, which is one of the Ayurvedic texts, it says that Haritaki can cure any disease just based on how you formulate it and how you use it and deliver it to a human body. So there's different ways you can process the Haritaki and take it to basically target specific doshas or specific diseases. But overall, what is considered to be the ultimate power of Haritaki is moving prana into the body. So that life force energy that I've been mentioning, Haritaki is the only herb which has the ability to move prana through all the different systems of vayu, or the wind that travels through our body, and move it through our entire system. So it basically like spreads prana throughout our body. So it has an amazing effect on energy levels, better sleep. You'll wake up feeling more rested and alert. You'll be energetic throughout the day. It brings more of that life force to your body. The other big thing it helps with is digestion and regulation of your digestion. You really can never be constipated if you take Taki. It's amazing for regulating the digestive system. Himanshi was asking, can I fast on coconut water? That depends on your body. And of course, you want to do a lot of research and prep before you do intense fasting. But if you're used to already doing one-day fasts or fasting for your spiritual practice or anything like that, yeah, I've heard of people doing it that way. Again, just prep yourself and make sure you're not doing it for too long so that your body has a negative effect. I would definitely, it's the first time, I would say maybe do it maximum for a day. And then the next time you can do it longer. Yes, of course. So Bhuvana was asking, how do you balance a dosha diet with a mixed dosha? So same way, you want to look at both of the doshas combined. It does get a little more confusing in the beginning, but you learn to navigate it. You just want to stay moderate in those two. So if you're VATA KAPHA, and you want to make sure that you're having foods which are not going to aggravate kapha or aggravate vata. So there's always a middle ground you can find. It just takes a little bit of reading, do some research. There's lots of amazing articles and websites out there now that talk about these things, which are really helpful. Even I've been using to help. Laura, thank you. Thanks for joining. Okay. How do you eat to help get rid of cheek acne? Or what do you do when it gets worse before your menstrual cycle? I haven't perfected this yet. Let me know if you find anything, as the cure-all. But overall, acne is always related to toxins in the body. So you have to look at what you're putting in, of course, day to day. You can always, again, fine-tune the things that you're having. You might be having a food that is aggravating your dosha, and it might be a food you thought was healthy. And this is where this can be really helpful. This whole video that I was sharing today can be really helpful, because this concept can help you understand why, even if you are having a salad every day, that actually might be aggravating your body type. So it's really important to know your dosha. And, a lot of that can be related to hormonal imbalance. Of course, if it's related to your menstrual cycle, your premenstrual cycle, I have the same thing happen. It's definitely been getting way better over the years. I haven't perfected it yet, but what has helped is even taking herbs which help to balance the hormones in a natural way, like shatavari. That I have a video on herbs for female health, and if you watch that one, all of those mentioned will help you with this as well. Okay, just scrolling back now. Okay, so what is Saatvik diet according to you? I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you reword that, Himanshi? Is it true there have a school of yogis in California? I'm not sure which you're referring to or what you heard about. Maybe you can, again, send me a follow-up message about that. King, are you a Brahmacari? No, I'm not. I'm married, so I'm on a different path. I'm on the path of what you call grihasta, or like a householder. Married, of course, and planning to have a family as well. Okay, how much do you know about Soma? Soma has a lot of different perspectives, as I'm sure you've heard. A lot of different takes on what it really is, what it really constitutes and everything. I personally do not believe at all that it's related to drugs or alcohol, as some people do. I believe, and from what I've learned bits and pieces of from my guru and when I was living in India, was like a real substance, which was like a medicinal, conscious thing you could input in your body, which didn't have any, like negative psychological effect on you that would bring you to a higher state. Rebecca is asking, which is better, Haritaki pills or powder? Good question. I always recommend the powder. I know it's not what people want to hear. It's definitely not the easier one to take, but I'll explain why. So the powder is, one, you can get the correct dosage much easier. I think that it's a more direct way to take the dosage that should be taken every day without wasting as much money, because the capsules usually cost more and they're smaller dosage. Obviously, you're only getting a little bit inside each capsule, so it's kind of tough. If you want to take a teaspoon every day, for example, which is what I usually recommend people start with, you have to take like 10 capsules sometimes, which is a lot, and then you're through a bottle in a really fast time. Capsules also dissolve slower in your body, and so I always recommend powder because it's a more direct way to have it, disintegrate and dissolve into your system. And also, Haritaki is really good for healing your mouth and keeping your gums and teeth healthy. So it's good to get the powder in there if you can. Don't judge yourself if it's not possible for you yet, but definitely try to take the powder eventually. Monday's box is asking, do you have a khichdi recipe you use? Where did it go? Oh yes, I'll be making a video about this soon. I'm trying to get the best khichdi recipe. I've tried a few and I'm not like perfectly satisfied yet. So once I do, I'm going to make a video about it. Satendra, you can start with Brahmi. That'll really help memory. Start taking Brahmi every day. But then you should get a consultation and you can get further, info for your individual constitution, what can help you with that. There is no such thing as veganism or vegetarian. It is a name. We eat bugs, and the plants we eat, and the water it draws from, we drink cold spring water. Yeah, I think it's not really purposeful to get hung up too much on the small little technicalities, because at the end of the day, no word really does it justice. But in the time that we're living in right now, I think it is important though to aim for being better and not contributing to violence in whatever ways that we can. And of course, it's never going to be 100% perfect. But yeah, we do our best. Okay, so I'm scrolling back. Max is saying, thank you for answering my question. What is the dose for Haritaki in general? I would say about 1 teaspoon is a good place to start. If you're feeling like that's impacting your body too much, like maybe it's making you go to the bathroom like too much. I would doubt that, but you might have a more sensitive system. You can cut down a little bit. But 1 teaspoon is a great place to start. Okay. Nick, good. I'm glad you brought this up. This is really interesting. So Nick was saying, I've heard of sticking to a mean schedule to ground Vata dosha. My problem with this is because some recommend to eat a few times a day, others say 3 or 4 times. Do you have any take on these comments? Yeah, one of the most beneficial things you can do for Vata is a very stable schedule and stable meal times. This actually doesn't just apply for Vata, it's just extra important for Vata, but every single person is supposed to eat at the same time every day. The reason for this is it keeps your circadian rhythm in balance. What happens is before we even eat, our body starts to get ready. It's like we all have an internal clock, and our body starts to prepare for digestion. It changes all of our stress hormones, and all of the energy being utilized in our body goes to digestion. And so if we eat at 12 one day, at 3 one day, at 4 one day, our body keeps wasting energy and sending energy to the wrong places multiple times in the day. That's why it's so important. So it really helps for Vata, especially because it's already very like sporadic energy. And so I would never say to listen to anybody about how many meals you should have a day, because you need to listen to your own body. I even feel good with 2 meals a day a lot of times. Eating 3 meals a day is kind of I think it's kind of a silly logic, like that we are supposed to eat 3 times a day. I don't think it's completely necessary. You should judge based on your actual digestive fire, your hunger level. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Don't overeat, just because you're supposed to. So take a gauge for how many meal times. I would never say 4. I would say 3, 2 to 3 would be the best, I think. Rebellious English said, how do you make yourself grounded in your meditation? You know, what helps me still, but especially when I was more of a beginner to it, is using mantra. Mantra is still like my favorite, and I think the best and easiest way to meditate. And actually, really, as per the Vedic tradition, mantra meditation kind of one of the main forms of meditation, of using mantra to guide your meditation. Whether you listen to it externally because you might not know the chants yet, which is totally fine. You can play a video, or you can chant internally or externally, and it really helps keeps your thoughts very focused and still, because you're thinking of the chanting. You're not thinking of other things. It keeps you very grounded. So I recommend that. Okay, I'm going back. So I saw, what are some of the worst food combinations to avoid? Yeah, so this is an interesting one as well. Some of important food combinations, which we say are like a big no-no in Ayurveda. One is double protein. So this is a really interesting one. What I mean is 2 different forms of protein. So if you have lentils, you should not have those lentils with dairy or with an egg or with a piece of meat. Anytime you have double proteins, it throws the body into chaos in your digestive system. So if you have protein in the meal, it should be one protein mixed with other nutritious substances, but don't double up on multiple forms of protein in one meal. Another interesting one is fish and milk should never be combined. So you're never supposed to eat fish with milk, with a milk-based sauce, with a dairy sauce, with a cheese sauce, nothing like that. Same goes for meat. You're never supposed to have any type of meat with cheese or dairy. So like a hamburger, worst thing you could possibly have, because it usually has cheese and a beef patty. So that's considered like a big incorrect food combination. Another thing is fruit and milk is not supposed to be combined. So you shouldn't have like an ice cream with strawberries in it or something like that. That's a sad one, I know. Another interesting one is honey is not supposed to be hot. So when we heat honey to very high temperature, it changes its qualities. And so we're supposed to have honey. You can have it warm, but you shouldn't have it hot. So if you make tea, put the honey in after it's cooled down a bit, so it's not boiling hot, and then add the honey in. Those are just a few examples. But yeah, it's really interesting, the different combinations that it talks about. Okay, Magico is asking, what are your takes on the physical body and how much we can change it or change our DNA with beliefs and visualization? Cool question. Yeah, from my understanding and my path and knowledge that I've accumulated along the way, yes, it is absolutely possible to change our DNA. Absolutely. You can, through belief and visualization alone, you can absolutely reprogram your body. Especially visualization is a very, very powerful technique. Otherwise, initiation by enlightened beings also alters our DNA. This has been proved, actually. Already they did medical studies on Inner Awakening participants from my guru's old program called Inner Awakening, which I attended also 5 years ago. And they did studies on how many of the DNA awakened in the body that were laying dormant. And it was like 300% increase in dormant DNA being awakened after attending Inner Awakening. So there is evidence that you can absolutely not only, put certain DNA to rest, but also awaken ones that were laying dormant in the body as well, which is really fascinating. Even when it comes to disease, modern medicine is really understanding this more now and believing it, because you can have a dormant DNA for cancer or diabetes in your family, but that does not mean you have to get cancer and diabetes. And this is where a lot of people have a misconception. Having a family history of any illness will not give you the illness. I hope you repeat that to yourself 1,000 times and repeat it to everybody that you know. There is no evidence that just because somebody in your family had a disease, you will get that disease. That is not factual. It is based on lifestyle choices alone, which awaken that in you. Cancer does not get awakened only if you have an inflammatory diet, if you eat foods which are dead and oxidized and awaken those cancer cells in you, or you're taking alcohol and tobacco and other aggravating substances. So like that, there's every disease like this is triggered by our lifestyle choices. So Joaquin was asking, I'm from Mexico and would like to find my own spiritual teacher. Do I need to go to India and look for one, or can I somehow learn by myself? I think it's a key part of the path to find a guide along our way. But no, you don't have to go to India. You don't have to go to India. You can do it from wherever that you are. And the thing is true masters, true gurus, true teachers come in many different forms. They will find you. You don't just need to find them physically in person. I mean, I know thousands of stories of people having enlightened masters come into their dreams. And then they figure out that was a real person, and they find them and they start following them as their teacher. I've had people find enlightened masters through emails or the internet, and they randomly just have something pop up on their computer that they've never searched before, and all of a sudden they're in front of them. So don't worry. If you keep that intense seeking alive, your teacher will definitely be coming into your life, no matter where you are in the world. Good question. Simachka, do you feel answering all these questions is your dharma? To a certain extent, yes. I think I've come into a space in my life where I really believe that anything I choose to do, which everything in my life is nothing but my own choice, is my dharma. Otherwise, why would I be choosing it? Especially when it comes to interacting with other human beings and community, even through platform like YouTube. Yes, I absolutely feel like it's part of my dharma, because it's just, it's like that life cycle of giving what we've been given. And I feel like it would be a really big disservice to, have grown in so many ways and been gifted so many amazing healing techniques and life-changing, breakthroughs, and just sit with them myself and selfishly keep them all locked in, And so I feel like it is my responsibility to at least put it out there. And even if nobody watches this video, I still did my part, And so I'm really grateful for you guys to be a part of this whole Leela, this divine play with me, because it also helps me in so many ways, of course. It's like, it's a virtuous cycle on both sides. Okay. Himanshi, this depends again on this is a lot. I can't really answer this for you because it's based on an individual body. And really this one the most important thing is a strong intention. If you have a very strong spiritual seeking, you're like a sadhu, wandering in India, or that's your life goal. Your pure focus is on the divine and becoming enlightened, and you are free to do that in your outer world as well. You don't have other things that are nagging at you and other responsibilities to like family or career. Then you can go really deep into these practices of cleansing the body. And yes, I definitely know people, and I know it is possible to live completely on fruit alone. There are yogis that do this all around the world. Again, it just really has to depend on your inner space, though, to do it in the right way. Mert was asking, is cannabis good because it's a trend lately? All I'll say, my friend, is most things that are trends are not necessarily good, right? Just because they've caught on. And I'm not saying that it's like good or bad in and of itself. Again, I don't want to come from that space at all. But again, we have to look at what are the qualities of that substance and how they can have a permanent effect on our psychology and our physiology. I have a video all about substances, like psychedelic substances and marijuana. So check that out. It's kind of a long conversation, but yeah, check it out. Okay. Oh no, I lost my place. Sorry, guys. Have you heard of using sesame oil for decreasing ringing in your ears? If so, could you explain it further? Yeah, I have heard of this because sesame oil is used to balance VATA dosha because it's a warming oil. And tinnitus, that ringing in the ears, is usually is correlated to VATA imbalance. And so I could see that sesame oil can help for that reason, because it's a warming oil. It helps bring VATA, which is located in the ear. That's one of the places it's physically located, is in the ears. And it brings that into balance through the application of the oil. So definitely try it out. I would say just be really careful. My professor shared this with me too, and I thought it was a good tip. Make sure you get the oil out before or after you shower, because if the oil, like if you put too much oil in your ear and then you get water in it and it stays in there and you don't like clean it out, it can get moldy, and obviously that will create major issues for your ear. So do just make sure whenever you have water, on your head, you're cleaning out your ears so that no oil and water is getting mixed in there. How do I know what my dosha is? And are there any kind of evidence about us that for those who are a bit skeptical? Yes, there is so much evidence, but the thing is you have to experience it. I can't just tell you. It's not going to mean anything for me telling you, right? You have to read about it. And the more that you read about it, you will see this is a very detailed, complex science, which is based in reality. It is not just some made up quack science. It is so detailed, I'm telling you. It is so complex, and you see it proved because it's very logical, actually. It's based in nature. All of these concepts are based in nature, and how the natural world is the same way our body reflects, and all of these things are in oneness and harmony, and that's how the doshas are seen. They're not just in the human body, but also in animals and plants. And so all of it works in a similar way. So I definitely recommend reading about it, and you'll see for yourself how much there is to it. Hello, Strategy John. As a late participant of this stream, welcome. Hi, stick together to make this beautiful place better. That's a nice channel name. Kind of off topic, but do you oil condition your rudraksha? I got my first strand. Oh, nice. That's exciting. I honestly don't really ever put anything on my rudraksha. They stay clean for a long time, at least in my experience. Mine have stayed really clean. Another good way you can clean them is using sacred ash or vibhuti, or sometimes it's called basma. You can get it usually at temples, or I think probably even Amazon nowadays has it. That's a really good way to clean them as well. Thanks, Marco. My mother-in-law gave me these earrings. Okay. People eat too much meat. It's better to be vegan, or at least eat very, very little meat. Yeah, I would agree. Overall, if meat is to be eaten, it has to be eaten in way more moderation than it's eaten now. Even again, in Ayurvedic framework, it's not completely against meat eating, but it will tell you there's no way in hell you should eat meat more than once or twice, like a week. You should never have it every single day, and nonetheless for every meal every day. The overconsumption of meat has become very imbalanced in the West as is a main proponent of most meals, and that is so overkill, so unnecessary, and it causes a lot of diseases in the body. Okay. Mahesh was saying, what are the health benefits of taking Haritaki every day? Yes, I already answered this question. Sorry, Mahesh, but if you after this stream, if you go back and watch the video a little bit, maybe like 15 minutes ago, I shared about this. What happened to Ishwara Priya? Was Sadashiva Priya injured in the accident? I'm not sure about all the details of what happened yet. Sorry about that. Hopefully I can let you guys know soon. I've just been praying for him and his family. I knew him, and he was an amazing man and friend, and just such an amazing being. So I know he's being taken care of by Paramashiva and by our guru, but I'll let you guys know if I find out any details. Hey, Prasida, is there an Atmalinga in Delhi, available in Delhi? Yes, we have Delhi Center. You have to contact Ma Bhakti Priya on Facebook. She's kind of the coordinator for North India, so you can get a hold of her. Simachka, I do not agree, of course, with what the media is saying. 90% or more of what any media in any country in the world says is not true nor relevant, and only is there to incite fear and violence in people that are, ignorant enough to believe it. And so I really hope that you don't believe what's being fed to you. I don't. I definitely don't. I've come to see too many examples of how manipulative media can be. And no, I'm not moving anywhere. I'm staying in Los Angeles. Okay. Okay. Is this life predestined? Himanshu was asking. To some extent, yes. To some extent, no. Right? In the cosmic archives of the world, the Akashic records, yes, it's like every life is mapped out, but at the same time, that free will, the conscious will, is always there. Conscious choice is always there. But we do pick the life that we live, like our own consciousness, our own highest self, that fully awakened part of us that exists after we leave the body. And before we take the next one, we do decide what this life will be in our life circumstances. But throughout, of course, we have that conscious freedom to choose. So aren't there similar healthy food traditions? Oops. Sorry, guys. Are you able to see me now and hear me now? Please let me know. I think there was some camera issue. I was trying to fix it. Hopefully it got fixed. I hope. Okay. Please let me know if it's working. She is currently in Nirvana. That's funny. Okay, but I'm going to continue. Hopefully I'm audible now. Yes, there are definitely a lot of indigenous health traditions in so many parts of the world, and they're all very similar, very, very similar. There's a beautiful, ancient indigenous knowledge which has been lost to the modern society, but it existed in many places of the world, not just in India. So they're all really worthwhile looking into. Elham was asking how many years you think it will take until most of the people on the planet turn veg. I would like to create the space that'll happen in the next 50 years, where a majority of the population is vegetarian. I think it actually kind of has to happen. It's an environmental requirement at this point. Eating the animal agriculture industry, meat consumption and dairy consumption is just extremely unsustainable at the level that it's at right now. Thank you for letting me know. Sorry, you guys, about the technical glitch. Luca was saying, what do you think about 5G technology? Is it dangerous for the third eye? Yes. 5G is so extremely frightening. I can't even believe that it is being considered and it's actually being installed. Even where I live, around here, it is being installed. I can't even believe it. It is so inhumane. It is highly cancer causing, extremely dangerous, especially for any pregnant women, for children. It is so lethal. I can't even believe, honestly, that we really have to protest this because it is a public health crisis. Lan, I have not personally been using Brain Garage very often because of my dreadlocks, but I'll let you know. I've been telling my husband to start using it, so hopefully we can see some results with him. But I've heard amazing things from other people about it. Yes, that's a great way to put that. That's exactly how I would articulate it. If you're at a very low space, it will raise you, but if you're already past that space, it'll lower you, and I really like that. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to find my place here. Okay, I'm here. I'm glad you guys can see me. Yes, Mr. Prez, I will post the Saatvik podcast we did on, hopefully on the description of this video, it can be visible. But it's on our YouTube, my other YouTube channel, The Anandas. So it'll be there if you look. Okay. Alan, no, of course not. No, of course not. It's not Guru to not have kids. No. What are the qualifications to be an Ayurvedic practitioner or doctor? It depends on where in the world you are. In the United States, it is not yet a licensed practice, but it's regulated by the National Association or National Ayurvedic Medical Association, I think it stands for, but NAMA is the initials. And what you do is you can only be certified, but still it is very accredited, and you do years of school. So to be a practitioner, it's 24 months straight to be a certified practitioner, at least at my school, which is what the program I'm in right now. And then to be a doctor is another 2.5 years. And you have to have over 1,000 clinical hours. Actually, I think it's like 4,000 clinical hours of working with patients before you're considered that level. Okay, Elham was also asking, is fluoride-free water the most important for third eye? Yes, absolutely. Having any intake of fluoride is very damaging to the third eye. So please, if you can, make sure, it is like top priority in your life, make sure not to intake fluoride. All right, guys. Well, I think we're having tech issues again. I'm so sorry if I'm not visible or audible. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. I loved all your questions. It was really beneficial, and I hope it helped everyone. And I will see you guys on the next live stream in the next video. Nityanandam, everyone.